welcome back from that. It's exactly 32 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m. And of course, at this particular time, we're getting on SMB on ground. Jerome Holsonko, and the discussion will be in line with the real estate bill, which of course it was a conference, with the different government officials trying to find a way they can put this bill into law. You know, quite so many aspects, so many aspirations regarding this move, and we want to understand from the stakeholders what do they partake, what do they think about this? Could there be policies within this law which could be unfair to the industry, or there could be something that should be adjusted, or there is something that should be added in order to make the law efficient? It's not yet a law, it's still a bill. The discussion is still going on, but and of course, according to the discussions, it's possible that it could be adapted, it could be consented to in the near time future to come. Joram Paul Sonko joins us on ground regarding this matter.
Rotating around the real estate sector. This particular one is one that has been growing tremendously in the last 10 years, and we would want to discover more about how it has been transitioning in the last 5 years, looking at also the loopholes that have been there, how have they been able to go about them and all that. But joining me to discuss more about this particular situation, I do have Catherine Nanteza, who's the Publicity Secretary, Area Uganda. Thank you very much for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning to you too.
All right. First of all, please say hello to the viewers.
Hello viewers. As you've heard, my name is Catherine Nanteza. I'm the Publicity Secretary of Area Uganda, and happy to be with you this morning.
All right. And the good thing about the entire thing is area. The area represents the fact that you are in real estate. If you're to look at the real estate sector in Uganda, how has it been so far in the last 10 years? How has it been transitioning?
Well, to paint a picture, in the last 10 years, when I joined the real estate sector, we bought an acre in Mukono near Hilton School at 4 million. I think today you can't even get a decimal at that price near Hilton School in Mukono. It has come from 4 million an acre to about 100 plus an acre. That is what has been happening in the real estate sector. If you look at Nigeria, 10 years ago, I remember going to that side of Bulabira, and I think then it was Geno Katumba and a few individuals there. It was all bushy. You go through Nigeria now, you know the difference. You look at Chira, look at Namgongo, look at Sonde, Seta. That just shows you how fast the real estate sector has been growing in the last 10 years. I remember when I took a client to where Quality Supermarket is, near that, they were selling plots at around 10, 15 M, and they didn't want to go there because it was all bushy. Today, you can't get a plot at 20, 30, near there. So that shows you how fast the real estate sector has been growing. Looking at Kampala, you see so many commercial buildings popping up every day. And so the real estate sector, in my opinion, is one of the fastest growing sectors. You go as far as Masaka, as far as Luwero. Look at Mbarara. I was in Mbarara 4 years ago, and I could barely live there because there were a few scattered buildings and disorderly. I was in Mbarara last month, and it's a shock that you have traffic jam in Mbarara. And the real estate is really growing. They have beautiful houses, there are apartments, there are commercial buildings coming up every day. Yeah, I think that's in summary how I could tell you.
Let's also look at the idea of mortgages in Uganda. Are people picking up this idea, or we still have very few of those who are interested in taking it up?
Well, we all do love mortgages, don't you? We do love the mortgages. The issue is, I think roughly less than 2% of the population can actually have access or can afford mortgages. Yes. So we all do love the mortgages. It's the accessibility, our saving cultures. You know how Ugandans don't like banking. Yeah, we are happy people. We eat as we spend. So it would be we would have the mortgages, but then we will need to change a few things in our behaviors, like start to save, start to bank. You know how people fear banking and mortgages. That will be a first checkpoint. How has been your records and all that? Yeah, Ugandans do love mortgages, and the few developers that have come up, they've encouraged mortgages, like Universal Properties, Fakrudin, even Crane Management Services. They encourage people that can access mortgages to use mortgages. The issue is the interest rates.
Okay. Now, besides that, let's look at the loopholes in the sector. Have there been any problems that you've encountered as stakeholders that you really look back and say, if we can go by them in this way, it would be better for the progress of the entire industry?
Well, first and foremost, the real estate sector is not recognized as the real estate sector. If we start by recognizing it as real estate and not calling it so many things, it's been called construction, it's been called land, but that is not all there is to real estate. So the first thing is for government and the public to recognize that the real estate sector is a sector in its own. The definition of real estate, it's land and all the improvements, especially permanent improvements above it, on it, and basically that covers everything. So the one thing is, it is not recognized as the real estate sector, so it is not budgeted for, it is not regulated. There are laws around the land, there are laws on construction, there are building laws, but that is not real estate. And so the other loophole is the real estate practice. The business is not regulated. And as the Association of Real Estate Agents, we've been pushing for the regulation of the real estate industry. And well, we are making progress. At least you heard of the real estate bill that pushed up to almost the second reading, and was, of course, we lost it because it was being pushed by the private member. But now the Ministry of Lands is working tirelessly to ensure we have the real estate bill at least by the first quarter of next year. Yeah.
Big problems with the real estate sector has been the informal players in there. When you look at some of us, when we hear about real estate, the first words we have in mind are brokers. Now, that alone is a turn-off for anybody, because the brokers we're used to are not the formal kind of white-collar jobs that we're used to currently. We get back to the local brokers we used to know or hear about back in the time. How have you been struggling to make the sector formal?
Well, you talked of the loopholes, and I was just listing. I wanted to get to that. First of all, the word broker is not as informal as we have made it look. Internationally, a broker is the owner of the agency. It's like the owner of the company that runs. No, but first and foremost, is like the owner of the firm that runs the real estate agency. So the word we've used, broker, here is interchangeably. The ones we call brokers are called agents or salespersons. And that's why I was saying it is not recognized as a sector. Real estate agency is a profession. If you go abroad, you cannot practice without a license. And that's some of the things we are pushing for. We need all agents registered, trained and licensed. And as the Association of Real Estate Agents Uganda, we've been training many of these brokers. Trying to professionalize the real estate industry is our biggest mandate. So we are encouraging them to try and do and accommodate the best practices, internationally accepted best practices. Also ethics in this business. It is not as casual as we have made it look. And that is why area came in place in 2008, because we are trying to promote professionalism. And one of our objectives is education. We have the Real Estate Institute of East Africa that has been training agents, brokers, and we have courses from foundation class up to the specialist level, and these are internationally accepted courses.
And then lastly,
We,
about
we do also have a course at MOBS and recently Victoria University and in Kozi. There is a bachelor's of real estate management. So it is not an informal sector as we have made it look, although in practice it is dominated by the informal brokers.
I'm actually a student at Victoria University. I will have to ask for. I will have to ask about it.
Yes.
All right. Now, lastly, let's ask. I need to know something about the ongoing annual general meeting. I've seen it's the 10th annual general meeting. What normally happens during these AGMs?
Well, like I told you before, the Association of Real Estate Agents is a registered organization. We realized that there is no regulation, so we decided to fight for our sector and put in place what would ideally be the work of the people supposed to be regulating. And so we hold annual general meetings every year, and you've come at the right time when you are going to hold. The one for this year is the 10th. We do read the audited reports where members come and check the books of accounts. How are we handling membership fees? What have we been up to? What do we need to lobby and advocate for? So it's a time to catch up and check what's happening, what are the plans for the future, what are the activities lined up for next year. Yeah, so it is a critical meeting for the organization. Yes.
Thank you very much, Catherine. And that's been Catherine Nanteza, who's the Publicity Secretary, Area Uganda. And of course, we've been looking at understanding more about the real estate sector and how it has been transitioning as well. They're having the 10th annual general meeting for Area Uganda. Of course, looking at mainly the real estate sector, how they can deal with some of these huge problems that are in there, and also to make it easily affordable and accessible for you as a Ugandan. And thank you very much. This is Smart Means Business.
All right, that's John Paulson Ground discussing about the real estate industry and, of course, how it's been transitioning over the years and, of course, understanding the way forward in order to enable that quite so many come and participate into this. And the discussion has been about provision of affordable accommodation to the Ugandans because majority of the people, when we hear about real estate, we get scared. You're thinking about it's very expensive, but it's being made affordable. But then talking about the real estate sector, the real estate industry, there has been, of course, an ongoing discussion regarding drafting a new real estate law, though lately it's still a bill. And of course, we see that according to the lands minister, that's Nabakova, she said that to date, Uganda still has a deficit of more than 8 million housing units and is looking at several that stakeholders to fill this gap, including the real estate industry. So that's a deficit of 8 million units. And of course, we need some more stakeholders to come and partake, be a part of this industry to cover up that deficit. And also we see that she encouraged those in the real estate business to look out for solutions for the housing needs, that's of low income earners. And of course, in a statement she said that we must work together to ensure that we extend opportunities to all Ugandans, and of course, regardless of their incomes, to able, of course, to enable them to have a place in what they can call home. And of course, everyone wants to have a good house and an affordable house at the end of the day, and everyone wants to live in a well-planned, safe environment. So that's regarding that. We need more players in this industry and looking at provision of cheaper services to the Ugandans right there. And of course, still on this note, according to the Lands Ministry, more than 2,000 housing units are set up annually. And of course, the government has put in policies and legal frameworks. That's including the National Land Use Policy, that's of 2009. You see the National Land Policy 2013, and also come down to the National Housing Policy 2018 and the National Urban Policy 2016 to provide a conducive environment for the sector to thrive. All right, we've come to the end of SMB this morning. It's 46 minutes past the hour 9 a.m. And of course, from where we started from, to all our viewers all over Uganda and across East Africa, we are very grateful. From the newsbreaker till this time as we are winding up. And don't forget, at Smart24 TV, that's on Twitter, Smart24 TV official on Facebook, Smart24 TV Live, that's on YouTube, and of course, Channel 394 on Go TV, Channel 372 DSTV, as you'll be in position to catch us at whatever part of the region you will be at. Till tomorrow, good morning.
TT sector came to visit us. We had invited them so that we show them the different innovations we are doing as a sector. But we have many sites. We chose to start with the ICT hub at our institute here in Nakawa, and then to brief them on the challenges we have as a ministry, and obviously ask them to fight for us in Parliament so that they can appropriate more money to the sector. But we thought we couldn't convince them much unless they have come face to face with the innovations which are taking place in the sector. So this is one of the sites we have, but we have so many other sites. We have, for instance, another site called the Movit. It's around Bugorovi, but that one is privately owned, because we have sites which we control as a government. We also have sites which are privately owned, but you know the whole ICT ecosystem is regulated by the ministry, so we work in collaboration with them. We have innovation. For instance, the parish development model system is being developed here, and the MPs have looked at it. We have payment systems which are also being developed here. Several ex-center and others which are being developed here. We have apps which are going to be advertising apps. We have an app probably in a layman's language which can work as Facebook. We have it being developed here. And we also have an app which can work like Zoom. It's being developed here. So all those apps are here in this innovation hub. So we built this hub to offer services to the young innovators who may not manage expenses of setting up their own lab because it needs a lot of money. So that's why we came up with this type of model, and we are doing well. When you apply to the ministry. In the past, we used to advertise. We were even funding some of these innovations. There are some which we fund. We advertise, they apply, we select, and then they come and start work. And we even fund them. But now we have opened up. Even those ones who can fund themselves, they will come and operate from here. So we shall offer them the machines, the internet, and the space to operate. Obviously, the biggest challenge is funding. The ministry is one of the 4 sectors that are being overemphasized by the president, overemphasized by the NRM manifesto, because there are 4: commercial, agriculture, industry, services, and ICT. But even when it is the most sung, it is also the one which is thinly funded. So funding is a big problem. We have several funding gaps as a sector, and therefore we are not fulfilling our mandate the way we should have wanted it to be fulfilled. So that's why we are appealing to our committee that they convince other colleagues in the Parliament to appropriate more money to the sector so that we can do much more than we are doing. Obviously, you have seen all these innovations related to ICT are internet-driven. So we still have a problem. The internet cost is high, and it's not everywhere. So like young people who are in Karamoja will get problems in accessing internet. So right now we are embarking, first of all, on the national backbone infrastructure. We are about to present a loan to Parliament. Today the minister is not here, he's with the budget committee. They are discussing another loan which will take internet now to every district headquarter, and if possible, every sub-county headquarter. We call it the last mile. So we think if we can take internet everywhere, when more people get hooked on internet, the cost might go down. But also, you should also remember that we have now fired the first satellite, and we are going to fire probably the engineers will work on another satellite, which now can carry internet through satellite, not through fiber. So we are working closely with the Ministry of ICT. I think now that success